Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I am your co-host, Noel, with codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern that everybody wants to find underneath their tree on Christmas morning, codename Legion Cub.
What a delight
Right?
that would be to come
Like-
downstairs. I'm looking at the Christmas tree right now because we've got the big one with all the cool stuff on it is downstairs in the Phantom Zone. What a delight. And this is the one that Santa delivers to. But I'm just imagining right now coming down those stairs with a cup of nog in my hand, walking around the corner, turning the lights on, and Kristian goes, "Hey, Merry Christmas!" It would be the best Christmas ever.
Terrifier 3 has nothing on me.
Wearing the pink bunny pajamas from a
Yes.
Christmas Story. Oh, what
It's
a
pink
dream.
nightmare.
You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast and on Blue Sky now at Needless Things. Needless Things YouTube channel is where you're watching this live stream right now, unless, of course, you're listening to the audio, in which case, wherever you're listening, go to our podcast page, give us a follow, share it, 5-star reviews. You know the drill. You know what you need to do to support those shows that you love. The only way we can get bigger is if you guys bust through that algorithm, because we're plateaued. Just like everything else I've ever done, you see growth, plateau, because that's when all the things start wanting money from you. We do all right here on YouTube because we're making money for YouTube, but everywhere else we need your help spreading the word. So share the podcast however you can. We appreciate it. We have shirts available on TeePublic. And let me just tell you, now is the time. Ooh, I messed up there we go. Now is the time to buy a shirt because I've gotten 18 emails from TeePublic in the last hour telling me that it's up to 40% off. So apparently TeePublic is doing the Black Friday thing all week, just like everybody else is. Now is the time to buy yourself or your loved ones Audible Interlude t-shirts, because what better way to say I love you than with the gift of Audible Interlude? We need to get gift certificates. I don't know what they would get you, but I would love to get some gift certificates. Maybe we just print them for fun. All right. No, silent interlude. I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm. I don't know how the tactical shovels are going to happen. There's a lot happening right now. But we'll get to them someday. I don't know when. We've got hanging out in the chat, Wreckship85, White Vegeta, and Silent Interlude with more to join us soon. And speaking of joining us, the next time you will be able to join us is December the 2nd. That's right. We're on another streak of live streams here. We
Whole month of live streams.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, we keep finding excuses to go live because really, like, we were supposed to be doing an old school segments audio episode this week, but then with Black Friday coming up, we were going to have a theme, and then that didn't work out. But don't worry, we've still got a lot of Black Friday fun going on here. This is going to be a great episode. But December 2nd, put it on your calendar, 8 p.m., the Needless Things YouTube channel. We'll be back live. And speaking of the Needless Things YouTube channel, this week, the Needless Things podcast returned with our review of season 1 of The Penguin, which, as I was editing the audio for it last night, because this is available right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel as a video, but also wherever you find your podcasts, there is an audio version that includes an old school Needless Things intro. And as I was reviewing the audio last night for the audio episode, I realized that I said penguin, and I don't know where that came from, but I
Billy Madison.
Yeah, it's too hot out here for a penguin. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe.
But this week on the Needless Things YouTube channel, in addition to the return of the Needless Things podcast after 2.5 years, I reviewed the Ghostbusters O-Ring Plasma Pack and Storm Shadow that we're all calling version 2, but it's technically for classified version 4. Because we had, oh my gosh, wait,
Yeah, because you had Arctic first.
the Arctic, the regular, retro,
Regular.
and
Yep.
now this one. So yes, this is the fifth.
Fifth, because we got one for the movie one too.
Storm Shadow.
That's right.
This is technically Storm Shadow version 5 for classified, which is
Storm
just
Shadow's
very
the new
confusing.
Snake Eyes.
Well, and yet he's not. It's shocking that we've had as few Cobra Commanders as we've had. All right, let's see. I don't know anything about this. Wreckship 85, still not as bad as how Benedict Cumberbatch pronounced it in his documentary. I have not watched his documentary. I'm assuming it's about penguins, but I don't know. Toyomic Displays, what is happening? Good to see you in here. As I said, we have some fun planned for tonight. But before we get to that, we've got some follow-up, and I forgot to add this to the presentation, so I'm going to have to read this tiny, tiny, tiny print. Toys of the Jedi commented on our sound off. I'm going to have to get rid of my jacket here. It's a little warmer down here than I thought it was.
Oh yeah,
layers and layers of G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it's all G.I. Joe. It doesn't matter. All G.I. Joe all the time. If I took the shirt off, there's a big giant Cobra Law mural across my chest. Not really, but I am seriously considering that for a back tattoo if it ever happens. Actually, this shirt, I have owned this shirt since 1996. I
know you've had that one for a while because I've got pictures of you with it in previous decades.
I bought it at Hot Topic when I was working there because I was so thrilled to see a G.I. Joe shirt. Like, wild. In 1996, like, an adult Joe shirt was a novelty to see. I bought this. We had several different ones because, Noel, didn't you get the Crimson Guard shirt? Isn't that where you got?
I had just a red shirt with a crimson like the crimson shirt with the red logo or the white logo.
Oh, okay, no, because I had a Crimson Guard shirt and it actually had a sparkly silver logo, Cobra logo on it.
I didn't have that one.
We had several different Joe shirts and I bought all of them. Anyway, back on topic. Boy, we're gonna have a lot of trouble with on topic. Back on hot topic, we're gonna have a lot of trouble staying on the Joe topic tonight, and everybody will find out why soon enough. Anyway, Toys of the Jedi commented on Sound Off last week after we had already gone live, which is usually Gary Mitchell's gimmick. I missed commenting here for the live stream, but thought I'd try anyway for the next one. Well, you got in. Good job. If you bring us good stuff, we will make it work for you. Having just listened to Day 5 of Operation Dragonfire, it is clear that you aren't the biggest fans of Scoop. This is a fact. I had the figure as a kid and loved the accessories, but having not seen the miniseries until last week, I made up my own stories as I played. So glad I did, as the Deke representation sucks. My question for you, which is the biggest disconnect you have between a character you hated and the toy of that character you loved? Or vice versa. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to your answer, Chris. So did you guys come up with anything for this one?
I was having trouble with this one. Yeah. I couldn't think of anything like of a character. There's no character that I really hated who I liked the figure of that I can think of.
Yeah, I ran into the same.
Not in the Joe cartoon.
I was gonna say, yeah. There's other things in, like, for me, it's the Dinobots in Transformers, because I hate the way they're portrayed, especially when they got into the movie, and then after that, where they just get too silly. Because, like, at first, Grimlock is all me Grimlock, but he's really mean. But then later, it's like me Grimlock, and I'm funny. Yeah. So that's when I really started to hate
Grimlock. Kick butt. That's the most cringy thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, Silent Interlude. Thank you. You got mine. I appreciate it because I was having trouble. Falcon. I loved the Falcon figure, but I could not stand his weaselly, cowardly character in the movie. Great call. Falcon is absolutely.
So for me, it was Scarlet, and I don't hate Scarlet, but the version of Scarlet I had in my head as a kid, she was everything that she is now, right? In the Scarlet miniseries. Whereas in the Sunbow cartoon, she wasn't damsel in distress, but she wasn't front and center and ass kick butt.
I mean, Duke was the damsel in distress, so there wasn't really any room for Scarlet to also fill that role. Silent Interlude says also cartoon junkyard. Good call.
Yeah.
True.
Kristian, I'm going to agree with you about Scarlet, but complete opposite. I didn't like the Scarlet figure. It drove me nuts that it looked so fugly, but in the cartoon, I really liked Scarlet.
You know what? And I will admit, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before. I actually did hate that in the cartoon she had a ponytail.
Oh, really?
And not a short haircut, because with as many people in my family that was in the military, I knew that women, when you go into the military, you get, back then you got a short haircut. And so Scarlet running around with a ponytail to me just made her a little too girly.
So the high heels and the leotard were okay, but the ponytail was where you drew the line. That is not a regulation haircut, Missy.
Yes. Look, if the Misfits and Gem and the Holograms can do ninja moves in high heels, I can handle Scarlet being in a sensible boot.
Just use your headcanon. She was a counterintelligence agent, so she was just wearing a wig the whole time. That was her disguise when she was a member of G.I. Joe.
There you go.
All right. What else we got? We got a little bit of...
I did see a question go back up a little bit from Toyomic Displays that was directed to me, so I will answer that question.
Can you not click on those, Noel? Do you not have that
I
power?
cannot.
Oh, that's sad.
No.
Noel, were you at Retro Toy Con from Toyomic Displays?
Was at Retro Toy Con. I presume that you were as well, and maybe you saw me in the background. I did have one of our listeners come by and introduce himself to me. So I met Mini Pete while I was there on Friday night. Right before the dealer room had actually opened up, I was wandering around with my exhibitor badge, and I talked to him for a few minutes before I made a very large purchase. And then, but no, I was at Retro Toy Con. It was a great show. Next time we actually do an episode with a Joe and Tell, I'm going to have lots to Joe and Tell about it. So I will fill you in on more details on some stuff that was acquired and other stories from this show.
Excellent. Yeah, save that for next week. We've got so much content for this week. It's out of control. Speaking of out of control, something that we should have shared, or actually, no, before we move on, I want to be sure we mention this. Joe Fest is having a Black Friday sale. If you don't know, Joe Fest takes place at the Marriott Augusta Convention Center in June. Check out joefestusa.com for full details. If you use code TURKEY, you will get 30% off of all tickets. Now, I don't know if this is going on now or if it doesn't happen until Black Friday, but it is a great deal for the very best G.I. Joe convention. So joefestusa.com, try and use it now if you want to, but if you want to wait until Friday, then you absolutely can do that. Answering, hang on just a second. Patrick's question, Retro was in South Carolina. Yeah.
And we're going to have that answered 3 times now.
That's right. Well, we've got to answer all of the people because we are currently streaming live, not only on the Needless Things YouTube channel, but also on the Needless Things Twitch channel and on the Needless Things Facebook page. Because why not? Why not be everywhere? Be everywhere you can be. Isn't that the Army motto? Something like that. All right. So we've got a little treat here that we should have talked about a week ago, I think it was, but we just didn't get to it. Kristian has not seen this yet, but we have to discuss the new G.I. Joe Classified commercial, which I'm going to play right now.
Adventure awaits with G.I. Joe. No terrain is too tough, no mission too difficult. Team Cobra eyes their attack on G.I. Joe.
There they are!
With teamwork, G.I. Joe can defeat the forces of Cobra. From covert operations to all-out battles,
Protect me at all costs!
G.I. Joe always triumphs.
We'll get you next time, G.I. Joe!
Yo, Joe! G.I. Joe Classified Series.
Collect them all!
Where fine toys are sold.
Love it so much.
Obviously incredible. Kristian?
I'm not sure what I just watched.
I just watched.
I love the throwback. Absolutely. I'm assuming they use somebody in the office to do the narration instead of hiring an actual voice actor.
I mean, I think there was a budget involved with that. I don't think
right,
because
they spent it on the graphics, like the Cobra Trooper getting knocked in milk. What was that? White sploosh?
This is not the reaction I expected from Kristian on this.
Really?
I thought we were going to get the wide-eyed wonder, and instead we've got critical Kristian.
Yeah, I really, really, really liked the throwback of it. I wish they had left out the Flash animation graphics and maybe got, someone with more bass to their voice. Like, your commercial should not sound like I'm voice acting it.
Well, all right.
Well then.
Sorry.
Go ahead and get your yuck in our yum, Kristian. That's fine.
That's always happens.
Remember this next time you talk about Super Joe.
At one point, I will say during the fight, I started to wonder, are those classifieds? Like, not in a bad way. Like, I thought that part of it was very well done, and we were getting ready to go into some stop animation. It's really just...
Will R. Hang on. Will R. says, I think Kristian isn't realizing it's fan. Is it fan made? I thought that was because Hasbro released it. Like that was released by Hasbro.
You know what? Even if Hasbro released it, that makes sense when you add that to something that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Because that shows you what happens when...
Didn't Hasbro share the stop motion Sergeant Slaughter video too?
Lenny shared it. I don't think Hasbro shared it.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to look like it looks. I think that was the intent, and maybe just it's not tickling everybody's fancy.
It looks like something you'd see on like Robot Chicken. Which
I just thought it was fun,
and
I would fact that they're even doing anything like that is great.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate that, and I absolutely 100% love that retro vibe that they were going for. I just think if you're going to do that, go all in. Don't do that and then throw in some cheap effects. Like, part of the charm of those old commercials is the AT-AT stomping on cupcake paper acting like buildings. Like,
I think they were trying to be kind of a wink and a nod about it, and I don't disagree that they could have left that stuff out, but it didn't ruin it for me. Will R, my mistake from Hasbro, I thought it was shared. Hasbro is not going to share anything that's fan made as a promotional material because there's going to be all kinds of like contractual issues and compensation problems with that. Like the amount of paperwork that would be involved with, hey, make us a commercial and we'll share it on our socials, would be a nightmare. Mini Pete says, I saw Matt from LaCroix Toys at Retro. He's an awesome guy. He is an awesome guy, and I've been trying to get him on Creator Series for months now, and that man is busy. I'm going to keep working on it, though. All right. Well, we have got some news. First up, an update from RoboSkull. People are receiving their special edition RoboSkulls. Shipping continues. So, as we mentioned last time, the special editions, the container with them arrived at port. They started shipping them out. The next container is RoboSkull Mark II and flight stands. And then we have another container that's just the regular RoboSkull Mark II. So basically, all of this stuff in the next few weeks is going to start shipping out. We may have our RoboSkulls before the end of the year. I certainly hope so. These received containers contain enough product to ship one Mark II and one Mark II Special Edition for each Kickstarter backer who pledged for them. So they are going to be fulfilled to all the Kickstarter backers. Like, this shipment is enough for that. And then whatever they're selling beyond that, presumably from Backer Kit or whatever they have planned for future sales, will be down the road. So they are rightfully taking care of the Kickstarter backers first. So have you guys seen the pictures of the special edition that people have been posting? I don't. So I backed a regular one because I knew I didn't want to spend the money for two, and I knew I wasn't going to have the space for two, which I don't know when not having space for things ever stopped me from buying stuff, but here we are. But I decided if I was going to get a RoboSkull, I wanted just the regular standard edition. Like, I wanted the RoboSkull proper, as it were, the default. And seeing pictures, speaking of yuck and yum, seeing pictures people are posting of the special edition, for me personally, just my taste, I don't care for the yellow, like war paint that's on the special edition one. So I'm glad I made the decision that I did, because the special edition was only available through the Kickstarter. It won't be available as a regular purchase later on. I'm very, very happy that I went with just the regular model. So you guys haven't seen those? I'm curious. Once you see them, I'll be curious to see what you think, because I do think it's a good variation, but if I'm only going to have one, that is not the one that I want. Let's see. Noel, I skipped over you because we're jumping all over the place. You have got some Hasbro news.
Yeah. So Hasbro has recently, their CEO, Chris Cox, don't laugh at his name, especially when you see it in print, has made the decision that Hasbro is no longer going to be funding any movie projects. So this is interesting, because, I mean, obviously Transformers 1 sadly didn't make very much money, because it's a great movie. Dungeons and Dragons did not make very much money. And obviously the Transformers franchise in general has kind of been dying down in the movies. G.I. Joe is kind of we are supposedly getting another G.I. Joe movie, but we'll see what happens with that.
Well, it's funny how with Transformers, Bumblebee came out and everybody kind of saw like how great Transformers live action movies could be, and then they didn't do that again.
Well, it didn't make as much money. That was the thing, is that was the lowest grossing live action Transformers movie. And it's sad because it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The problem with one lies squarely on the marketing.
Yeah, that first trailer, because we all talked about that trailer when it first came out. Yeah. I thought, I was like, this movie looks terrible. I kind of had to. It was
Watched it
only
yet?
like the word of mouth that got it. Yeah, I watched
Right.
it, and it's fantastic. It is. It's the best Transformers movie in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah,
No, it is really. It is so much better than I think any of the live action.
Oh, so
Transformers
that's
movies
what
are.
people are talking about when they say how bad the marketing was. Because I mean, I saw.
Yeah.
I thought they meant they didn't market it enough, and I was like, I saw trailers for this all the time.
But
Yeah.
see,
So what it
there's
is they chose the wrong parts.
Yeah,
of
they
the
that-
movie to
made it
promote.
look like a comedy.
Well, they made it look
and-
like a Minions movie.
And they're actually online. I see a lot of people posting that they never saw. Maybe it's more like in the foreign markets they didn't see it, but
What?
like Sixo and a
foreign.
lot of the Transformers social media folks were like really trying to push the word of mouth hard. And you had people commenting, there's a new Transformers movie. I think what this does for the G.I. Joe movie, it's Hasbro isn't going to co-fund, right? So if you're a Universal or a Sony and you come to Hasbro and say, we're gonna throw a couple $1 million your way for the movie rights, boom, okay. But what this also does, it gives the studio who eventually will decide to take a Hasbro IP, it gives them a lot more leeway. Like
Yep,
you will
that's
not
what I'm
have
afraid of.
Hasbro executives being like, do this. We need to make sure we include this.
But have Hasbro executives really been hitting the mark?
When I don't know. I
Like,
don't.
Name a Hasbro movie where it really felt like Hasbro executive input kept it to what the customers wanted to see.
No, 100%. And that's where I think that it's a wait and see what happens when it happens.
Yeah.
Because we may end up with stuff that's a lot better. Or we could end up with stuff that's completely out of left field. To me, it stinks that Hasbro spent all that money to buy E1 in order to get their hands on certain production rights. And we're like, yeah, we're going to use this to make TV shows and movies. And they really did squat with it. And now that they sold E1 to Lionsgate, it's kind of like, why did you even bother? You didn't put the kind of effort into it or hire the people you needed to make it a studio that put out the caliber of stuff.
That's the key thing, is they weren't looking for creatives to really make compelling content.
They thought they could do it in-house. And you can probably now, outside of comics, kiss any shared universe goodbye.
Possible. We'll see. But Wreckship85 has a good point. I think Hasbro needs to encourage Skybound to make a new animated Joe cartoon, and fingers crossed it's successful as Invincible has been.
100.
I mean,
well, the first season of Invincible, maybe.
The fact. Well, yeah, right. the fact that the Energon universe is as successful as it is, while yes, it is just the world of comics, but I guarantee people are looking at that and seeing money. It's not going unnoticed. In the world of cinema that is so driven by comic book properties right now.
You just have to hope that you find the studio or the studio executive that goes, if I'm paying for Transformers, let me go ahead and add the G.I. Joe IP to that. Because all those years that Fox owned certain Marvel rights, Sony owned certain Marvel rights, like when you're just, you want to toss money our way for our IP? Yes, because that's pure profit for us to make up for our lagging sales.
I also have to wonder where this is in the timeline, because we have heard that they are doing a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. Obviously, spoilers on the last Transformers live action movie, Rise of the Beast. There is a little bit of a stinger at the end to set up such crossovers. I wonder if, like, at what part of pre-production have we gotten to that point where Hasbro may still have some skin in the game with that movie, or if that's just going to become, one of those things that just never materializes.
I have a feeling we're just not going to see it at this point, which I'll be honest, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I like Silent Interlude says, I will always be at least a little disappointed with any G.I. Joe movie that doesn't start with the Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Stalker, LRRP ambush. On the one hand, while I would love to see that presented in live action with the right creative direction, I also would be okay with a new story that uses G.I. Joe. Well, like what Skybound is doing. I want to see new stuff. I want to see new stories. Like,
Right.
I've read that, and it's never going to give me the same feelings that reading it in the comic book gave me. So what I want is the characters and I want the property present. How excited have we been about Skybound, about the Energon universe? It's so energizing. Sorry. To see the stuff that we love being handled with care, but presented in a new way. That's exciting. I don't need the same stories told over and over and over again. I just need content that feels true to the mythology that we've known our whole lives.
Well, and we talk about these
of new. Wreckship 85 wants to know, is that new character that was in the Transformers movie going to turn into Risk?
Wow.
Hopefully
and for
not.
that, listen to our review of G.I. Joe #1.
That's right, where we find out that Risk is actually Robo Joe.
When we think about, like, the best toy-based movies of the last decade or so, that were wildly successful, both critically and commercially, think about the Lego Movie and think about Barbie. And those movies weren't like, they just didn't just tell a story based on some lore. They mixed it in with our reality. They told a very meta story. And I'm wondering if that's what you have to do for something like G.I. Joe.
And didn't take themselves seriously. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if you're going to do G.I. Joe, go all out. Give us the Weather Dominator. Give us crazy sci-fi.
I think that, in my opinion, I think that is the key, that you take the characters seriously, but you present the fantastical world of G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't. The last thing in the world, and we've had this conversation many times on the show and at live panels and everywhere we've talked about G.I. Joe. Personally, the last thing I want is Black Hawk Down G.I. Joe.
No,
that's not interesting to me.
I'm sorry,
Kristian. What do you got?
Polar Nights. I love this show. For our dear listeners listening as opposed to watching, I love this show. It is like the perfect evolution of beard growth.
Polar Nights, watching us on Twitch. Thank you, Polar Nights. I bet you're our only viewer over there. I have no idea how to monitor Twitch anymore. We used to, when we would do Needless Things streams on Twitch, I actually had to have my son sit over here as producer because we couldn't, there wasn't a way for me to be on camera and monitor everything at the same time. So, but I'm glad we're able to broadcast there, and I'm glad Polar Nights is hanging out with us on Twitch. Toyamic Displays. I love Snake Eyes, but I'm glad that Skybound is holding back on Snake Eyes. There's so many other great characters. We need Snake Eyes to save the day, be mysterious, and vanish like the ninja he is. And I can't remember exactly what comic it was, or no, it wasn't even the comic. Wasn't it Valor versus Venom, where he kind of just like showed up and like assisted the story a little bit and then was kind of gone? Wasn't that the one we reviewed? there was something where he was treated that way, where he just kind of dropped in to make the save, and then they were like, "Where'd Snake Eyes go?" "Oh, he does his own thing."
Well, that's what he did in Renegades a lot. So he's around. The rest of them are all traveling around in their Coyote, and then like Snake Eyes is on a motorcycle, and he hangs back, and he'll like disappear, and then all of a sudden he'll kind of swoop in. So that's a better way to portray him, I think, than having him just be your Mary Sue the whole time.
Polar Knights, I'm not posting your comment because it's got a word in it and we're family friendly, but I will say you are correct. We are old. We don't know how things work, and we are glad that the kids are here to show us the way. Unlike the boomers, we will step out of the way when it's our time or when it's no longer our time, which honestly, rapidly approaching. All right. What the heck are we doing now? So that's Movie Talk, Robo Skull update, Legends of the Hidden Force update, which I do not have an image for, but basically they just checked in to say that they're working their way through the first set of Kickstarter toys. There were some issues with paint. There's some tooling issues. Look, we talk about it time and again. Independent toy lines want to give us the best product they possibly can, but the process of going back and forth can just take a lot of time and be frustrating. And actually, if you want to hear some specifics about that, check out the Needless Things Creator Series interview with Bill from Fresh Monkey Fiction and Sean from The Vampire's Castle.
So good.
Yeah, that's absolutely
So
fantastic
good.
interview. I'm very much looking forward to talking to Bill again. What I'm going to try and do with the Creator Series is kind of space people out. I can't wait to talk to John from Toyfinity again, because he gave me the best lesson in toy history I've ever had in my life. But I could talk to him every week, but obviously I want to rotate through people. So everybody that you have seen on the Creators Series will be back at some point. It's just going to be a matter of rotating through people. And you know, Noel's green screens.
Polar Knight says, I love Dave's and Noel's green screens, and Legion have some sweet toys.
That's real.
Those aren't green screens.
Yeah, this is is legit, like behind me, actual stuff.
Yeah, I just am set up in my bedroom, not in my toy/photography room. So you get
it's funny. To the kids, everything's a green screen. You kids,
that's
your
real.
green
I'm the green screen.
Yeah, this magical being could not possibly exist in real life. All right. So yeah, Legends of the Hidden Force. Basically, they're working on it. We're going to get product as soon as we can get product. Hang in there. All right. Seasons savings on Hasbro Pulse. So I got 4 emails about season savings. I got a preparatory email saying something big coming soon. I got one saying tomorrow morning, season savings. I got one when it launched saying go check it out now. And then I got another one like an hour after it launched saying, hey, did you go check it out? And I was like, calm down, Hasbro Pulse. I get it. Season savings. Apparently there was some confusion because Hasbro Pulse putting a specific menu with every single thing that's included in the season savings was not clear enough for some folks, and they're adding just random stuff from all over the site to their carts, and then like, why am I not getting 35% off? Because it's not in the season savings menu. But I wanted to talk real quick about some sort of the highlights of what's available in the season savings menu, because there are some really good deals to be had. Right now, you can get the HMS for $48.75, which is almost worth it to me. I'll be totally honest. Right now, I'm not spending an extraneous $50 on anything. It's the end of the year. We're coming into, lots of Christmas going on, lots of gift giving. So spending $50 on myself is not at the top of my priority list. But if you're waiting for a price, because what do you think, guys? I think that's pretty reasonable for that.
Totally.
I bought it for full price, and I love the thing. So yeah, I would
So for
Definitely.
$48, it's
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, if you think about it, it's $25 for the figure, and then $23.75 for the. It's big.
Yeah.
It is a large item. The Stinger, $65, a freaking bargain. And as much as I said, I don't want to spend any money that I don't have to right now. I almost bought a second Stinger
to put with your HMS that you got to buy at $48.
I was surprised to see that they still had Stingers.
See, I think there are a few things on this list that were out of stock until this sale, because I think the Flight Pod was sold out. I could be wrong.
Well,
and I'm sure. Okay, so Silent Interlude is asking, is this for premium members only? Premium members get 35% off of purchases $75 or more. I think the general public gets 25% off $75 or more. I believe that's the sale. What do we got? Wreck Ship. I was salty because I was going to get 3 figures, but the total was $74.97 and a half. Oh yeah, no, they're not going to overlook that 3 cents. Hey, look, rules are rules. $75 is $75, buddy. Find something find a little tiny item.
That's what I used to love. Like whenever I'd buy, when Lego would do those deals where you had to spend a certain amount to get free shipping or get the gift with purchase. And if I was like $1 or $2 off, I would go look on their clearance section and just find like a little keychain or something like that was down to 99 cents, and boom, that would fill it back.
Yeah. Absolutely. Polar Nice says, get the toys. The family can survive 4 days and no food. Get the toy.
That's my thinking.
So moving on, the Valkyries are $35.75. Great deal for troop builders. The Flight Pod, also $35.75. The Diver and Soldier figures, or Sailor and Soldier, whatever, Rescue Diver, you know what I'm talking about, are $22.75 each, which if you like big piles of accessories, that's great. And then outside of G.I. Joe, the N1 Starfighter from The Mandalorian is $85.80. I reviewed that right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, and I think it's a phenomenal toy. $85 is a bargain for that, in my opinion. And then finally, Jabba's Throne Room, which I personally consider to be a massive fail, but it's $150. So if you want it, if you want that big chunk of completely not fun, zero play value thing to take up that much shelf space, this is the best deal you're probably going to get on it. So there are some deals from Seasons Savings. Did you guys get a chance to look at it? Was there anything that caught your eye or anything you were particularly tempted by?
Just the HMS, but I'm waiting to see, because last year they kept adding stuff to it as we got closer to Christmas, so I'm gonna gamble.
So this is interesting. Okay, Will R says expect more figures to be added as the week progresses. All right, so that's what we thought last year when they did their sale, because that's what they did the prior 2 years, but last year they never added anything else. Now, I'm not saying that'll be the case this year. Maybe they will add stuff again this year, but don't necessarily expect more to be added to that season savings menu. It may or may not happen. Wreckship85 has a fantastic idea. Kind of surprised Hasbro isn't offering a donate an amount for Toys for Tots to help get you over that threshold. So now, you know, when you go to fast food places now and they're like, do you want to round up for charity? That would be awesome if you were at that $74.97 and they said, well, if you want to round up for charity, you can get the deal. Or whatever price. Who cares?
But Hasbro's Q3 earnings were not quite what they expected, so they are the charity at this point.
Oh, no. Oh.
Round up for Hasbro. Hashtag round up for Hasbro.
Do you want that? I would love to see that message. Do you want to round up to help Hasbro meet their quarterly goals?
See, there's the commercial we need to make. Play some sad Sarah McLachlan music in the background with Hasbro executives all disheveled and Charles Dickensy looking.
I couldn't make payments on my second Lamborghini. All right. Anyway, all right, here we go. It is time to get to the main event of the show. I am very excited about this one because, all right, you might notice my nameplate there says R.I.P. Don. No relation to me, but the late, great Don West, who was an announcer for TNA Wrestling and one of the greatest salesmen of all time. And Noel, Kristian, oh man, have I got some things to talk to you about. You are not going to believe the deals we're getting ready to share with the people. You're not going to be able to keep your wallets in your pockets because we've got things that are out of control. Great sales. It is time now to talk about deals. Black Friday is coming up, and we've got some G.I. Joe specials that are going to blow your mind. All right, here we go. So what we've done is the three of us have gone in and looked at some past sales circulars, some from Black Friday, some not. Yes, Will R., you know what I'm talking about, a Michael Jordan rookie card. So we've gone and looked at the past sales circulars. We're going to take a look at the pages, focus on the G.I. Joe stuff. But as we tend to do here on Audible Interlude, we may range around to some different brands as we go. We'll see how it goes. All right. And while we're doing this, in the chat, if you want to tell us about the best G.I. Joe deals you've ever gotten, we'd love to hear about them. All right. So let's kick things off with our first circular. Oh, that stinks. Wait, let me see if I can find. Okay, we're just going to do this. We're going to cover our faces up because I want the circular to be as big and visible as it can be. I told the guys before we started, I hate the fact that you can't like zoom in and stuff on these presentations, but it is what it is. So right here we have, and I'm thrilled to have found this one from Lionel Playworld. All the famous brand toys your kids ask for. This looks to be probably what, guys, 1985, I'm guessing?
Yes, I would think so.
So the G.I. Joe portion of this one has the Cobra Hydrofoil on sale, $16.97, and a variety of single-carded G.I. Joe action figures for $2.46. By the way, what is up with that price?
Right. Is it too early to bring up? Because I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, at least through all the ads that I pulled, the sales price of G.I. Joe figures were never broke $4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Every time they were on sale, it was all like the bulk of the ads that I saw, they were under $3.
Oh, real quick, we have to clear something up. Polar Knight's not an American, and it didn't even occur to me. We need to explain what the heck Black Friday is for our international listeners, because we do have some international listeners out there. So in America, Black Friday is the day after American Thanksgiving, where retailers traditionally put out the craziest deals of the season. They will slash prices like up to 75%. Americans will go line up outside of like Best Buy at 3:00 in the morning, waiting for Best Buy to open at 6. And by the way, all of the big box retailers open early on Black Friday. It's like, it's not the same as it used to be. It used to be this like tradition where families came to the houses, had Thanksgiving dinner, and like your aunts and your grandma would stay at the house so they and your mom could get up super early the next morning and go get these Black Friday deals. Now, Black Friday lasts like 2 weeks. It's all online. It's a completely different thing now. But anyway, the basic core concept of Black Friday is it is the official start of the holiday gift buying season, and the deals are bonkers. So that's Black Friday. Do you guys feel like I covered that well enough?
Yeah, pretty well. There were a few Black Fridays where I lined up for some big time Lego deals at like Walmart. So I'd get out there at 5 a.m. just to go buy that $120 castle that they had on sale for $40, and I may have
Oh
bought
man.
20 of them at one point. So yeah, and now the stores even open on Thanksgiving Day, so Black Friday,
which is gross, by the way. I hate
starts
that.
the day before. Like 4 o'clock on Thanksgiving, Walmart will open up, and so people can go buy their 60-inch televisions for $250, which is a real thing that's happening right now.
I never bought anything on the Black Fridays as an adult after I moved down here. However, it was absolutely tradition that I would camp out at the Toys R Us by the Florida Mall starting at 2 a.m. because one, the people watching is crazy, and two, the amount of people that treat it like a tailgate party. So you would have people that would bring their grills and they would be making hamburgers.
Just
and
guzzling gravy.
The Toys R Us by the Florida Mall was like this weird middle age, what probably they considered to be a rave, just cooking, drinking beer, and waiting to buy toys for your kids for 3 hours.
So for the job that I had before the job I currently have, I was usually working on Black Friday because I'm not a huge Thanksgiving fan, so I would take the overtime days when people took like the whole week of Thanksgiving off. I would typically be working like 6 days that week, if not more, getting lots of overtime pay. But in the past, I think if I showed up for Black Friday, it typically was, that's why I said Best Buy. It typically was Best Buy to get like electronics or movies or whatever. But recently, since I got this job, and a couple years before, because I did get occasional Fridays off, I go to the record store day, Black Friday, because there's special record releases that only independent record stores get. And you have to go to the physical location to buy them. So I've been, the last couple of years, I've been showing up there first thing in the morning and standing in line just to see what the stores get in. And these are, not every store gets every release. Like it's really more fun than anything, because you get to go in and see, like, is the stuff I want in here? And if it's not, you still get to hang out with people and talk about music and whatever else. So I've really enjoyed doing that. So yeah, if you've got a local record store, check out what they're doing for Black Friday. That's a fun time. So moving on, we discussed the hydrofoil and the Joe figures, which it looks to me like it's Snow Serpent, Eel, Destro, which is a little odd.
Yeah. Was he
and
still
Quick
on the shelf
Kick.
in '85? I guess he was.
Yeah, because I think we've as we've gone through and discussed the line, I think most figures were available for at least 2 years.
They were usually, it was usually 2 years, and occasionally the more popular figures would often get a third.
Oh wait, yeah, because he would have been in his third year in '85, wouldn't he?
Yep.
That's right. But elsewhere on this page, we have got some Masters of the Universe, which are exciting to see because we've got some Evil Horde up there, and we've got the oh shoot, what the heck is that thing called? I've got it.
Land Shark.
The Land Shark. Thank you. That Land Shark, I always wanted that. Now I have the Masters of the Universe Origins one, which is awesome. But I always wanted that Land Shark when I was a kid, never had it. What else have we got? What else draws your eye on this? Well, Noel, I know what you're looking at.
Yeah, the little Tommy robot. Because
that's not what I thought you were looking at. Although it is.
Oh no, the Fisher Price Shark play set. I also really wanted that because it fit with your GI Joes. That was also a 3 3/4 inch set. I love those little Fisher Price adventure people. No, I know what you're referring to, and that would be the Tonka Deluxe GoBots, which is not what they were called. They were the Super GoBots. You got Psycho, you've got Stacks, you've got Leader One and Psykill at $7.97 a piece.
Which was pretty pricey, really.
Yeah.
Like, even though those were the larger, what were they, 6 inches?
Yeah, they're about 6 inches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was I think 85 was when, 84 was when Leader One and Psykill, I think, first came out as Super GoBots, because they were, of course, the original 600 series, the smaller ones.
I wanted those really badly too.
Yeah.
But
Psykill, because his whole, like, the whole thing switched around in his back, so you didn't lose the wheels anymore or the engine.
Yeah.
The 4 in that photo, so you have Psycho, Stacks, Leader One, and Psykill. Those are the 4 Super GoBots that we had.
Really? So I wonder, is
Yep.
that significant, do you think? Like, were those a series?
Not really. Stacks is the Ultra Magnus, because there was a deluxe version of him that came with a car carrier.
Yep.
So for folks that are listening, he is a semi truck. And Psycho, I did not find out until many, many years later. But he was his design is actually from the Cobra anime, not related to G.I. Joe.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't really a machine robo at all. But of course, much like Transformers and pulling in, Macross and all those other toy lines, he fit right in. So,
well, he was designed for Machine Robo, but he was based on, because they were like, most of those first line of Machine Robo, a lot of them were based on like concepts and futuristic type vehicles, and that one was a very specific one.
Yep.
Got a couple of good comments here. Toyomic Displays. I got a Steel Brigade figure with gun and patch for $20 in the room swaps at Retro Toy Con. Version 1D. That seems wild to me. That's awesome. Let's see. Will R says the term Black Friday comes from retailers getting their sales numbers out of the red and into the black, and then D. Griff elaborates with it's referred to as Black Friday because retailers consider themselves in the red, not turning a profit, but starting on Black Friday is where they make their profit for the year. So this last month of the year basically is when retailers make all their profit, which is insane.
So I want to point out the 2 sectors. So you have,
please do,
General Spydrax and Dargon. 1997. So $20.
That is very expensive.
Very expensive.
A 1985 toy.
And
well, look at the hydrofoil. The hydrofoil $16.97.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I have an inflation calculator up, and it says that would be $56.64 in money today. You wish that hydrofoil would be a HasLab in today's money.
Yeah, even at the 1/18th scale.
Yeah,
it would be a $250 HasLab. Just one more note about the Sectars created by Tim Clark, who also created Boglins and who was a guest on the Needless Things podcast a couple of times. So go through our audio archives and go listen to that interview. And I need to have him back on for the Creator Series.
But as you'll see, folks that are watching, and hopefully we can describe it well enough for our listeners, a toy line can have a certain price, and then, man, if it didn't hit in the 80s, they clearanced out, because I had no idea that Sectars were this expensive, because...
No, I didn't remember that at all.
In 1986... is when we moved to Kentucky, and for my birthday, which is in January, so January 1986, I got the complete line of Sectars with the Hive base.
What?
Because my mom got them at clearance at Service Merchandise. So I know there's no way in the world she was paying $20
right
per figure. So Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
wild.
amazing. Silent Interlude says, I got that leader one for Christmas of '85. I want so badly to get one now, but they're so expensive. Even the current like Machine Robo stuff is a little pricey for me because I'd like to have some of those, but I can't commit. And Kevin Riddle, look at this. We are helping the people, helping the Audible Army. Thanks, guys. Just ordered the Stinger and HMS. There you go. That's what we're here for. Help people spend money. All right, we got to move on because we got a lot of these. We're not going to make it through all of them, and that's fine. So on this page, obviously the Joe stuff, very exciting. Looks like it's probably another 1985 ad because we've got the hydrofoil, the whale, awe striker, snowcat, the bridge layer, and then the slugger. In the ad, your choice. The smaller vehicles, $9.99. The hydrofoil, $19.99. So not as good a deal. Oh, and this is so. Here's the explanation for that. This circular is from Circus World Toys, which look, Noel is showing off some GoBots over there. Hang on.
I was gonna wait till
we're
wait, back to the screen.
Yeah.
Just happen to be able to recreate something from one of those
yeah, right.
one of those ads.
So Circus World Toys, if you don't know, was another mall toy store like KB. They were actually KB. Like if you went to a mall, KB would be at one end of the mall beside Sears, and then Circus World Toys would be at the other end of the mall beside Rich's or JCPenney.
Outside of malls, and this is the reason why I pulled this one. Circus World was known as Children's Palace.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's what we had in Evansville, which was like an hour drive from where I grew up. Out of these, the one that shocked me the price that surprised me the most is the bridge layer. Because when we have talked about the amount of plastic that it uses, I expected it to be more in line with the hydrofoil.
Oh, wow.
Maybe
no,
not
I never,
quite 20, but
I never would have thought that. Because the bridge layer to me is still, even though it's got the giant bridge with it, to me it's still just a mid-sized vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Like really just a step up from the Vamp. Like it's in my head, it's on par with a Wolverine, even though it's got a much larger profile. I think the fact, and look, I know people love this thing, but it's a bridge layer. It's not a top tier Joe vehicle for me.
I loved it, but it was one of those that kind of felt like, I don't know what it was about it. I think because it came out a little earlier than the rest of the 85 stuff, and because Tollbooth didn't have the neck on the ball joint like every other 85 figure did, it kind of felt like it was a leftover. So it didn't feel like it was a real 85 Joe toy to me.
I certainly wasn't thinking that way when I was a kid, but you're 100% correct. And plus there's the fact, like, I like Tollbooth. I like the figure, but also he kind of just looks like a construction worker. Like, it's just not, I don't know. The bridge layer is an essential item. I'm looking at mine right now, but it's just not the most exciting release.
If you didn't have ditches in your yard, what could it do?
It was great in my yard. I know I've told this story before, but like I had this like terraced with railroad ties and a little pathway through the middle. And it was perfect. Like I got to do all this amazing adventures with my bridge layer.
So good selection of Joe stuff here. Bridge layer, as we mentioned, $12.99. Hovercraft, and all these prices are a little inflated over what we see in other circulars because if you remember, the toy stores in the mall were always more expensive. Even though KB was known for its fake red sales prices. If you were buying current release toys from the mall, they were always a few bucks more.
Yes, it's that mall that mall inflation that they always had for all that overhead.
Yes. Here the hovercraft is $24.99. Like I said, the smaller vehicles $9.99, and even the figures are a dime more at $259 each. And I cannot tell what figures are in. It looks like maybe let's say Televiper, Snow Serpent. Is that Footloose in the front? Maybe.
No clue.
And then I don't know what the one up top is, but I do like that they have the sled popping out of the front of the hovercraft.
Yeah,
that's a nice touch. So also on this page, now this is an interesting circular page because typically in the 80s, the male toys and the female toys would be in completely different sections. So this might have been a single page insert in like a newspaper or something where this is all the real estate this ad had, as opposed to being a circular, because we've got Cabbage Patch Kids and Barbie on the same page as G.I. Joe and Voltron. But if you're listening, you don't realize this is not the Voltron that you think of when you think of Voltron. This is the weird 5 robot Voltron. What is this?
So there's the 3 robot Voltron, but they've also got some of the other
vehicle Voltron.
Yeah.
Dyruger.
Well, and then look though, the Black Lion is in there.
Yeah. So they've got a whole assortment because Matchbox licensed them all.
Right.
I know you could still get the die-cast Lion Voltrons at the same time that the 3 robot Voltron was on the shelves.
Could you see? My memory was that the vehicles and the 3 robots were on the shelves at the same time, and the Lions were gone by then. And I could be totally wrong about that. That's just what I remembered.
I mean, episode-wise, yeah, because by the time Vehicle Voltron hit the shelves, obviously Lions had been done, I feel like, for a while. I just know when I bought my Lion gift set, they also had the 3 robot one, but he was not part of the Voltron cartoon at all. So it confused child me very much.
Voltron is very confusing, and I highly recommend everybody check out Secret Galaxy to get the stories of all the various Voltrons. Jeff Butler says it was the 80s, so it was probably almost mullet Voltron.
3 Gladiator Voltron, yes.
Okay. So and then what is the Commander set up there? I can't even tell what that is.
Oh, it looks like it's role play.
Oh yeah, is that like
so
like
that's
a little
helmet,
isn't it?
And the vest.
Oh, okay. All right. We're going to move on to our next circular, which is this one near and dear to my heart because this is the store where I bought my killer whale, and my dad was not going to let me buy it because I didn't have enough money to cover the sales tax. And fortunately, my dear granny swooped in and made up the difference for me. But he was ready to walk out of that store with me not having the killer whale to teach me a lesson. Who knows how my life would have turned out if that had happened. But service merchandise, most people think of it as the place, if they remember it at all, of the place where you look at the catalog and then you go to the store and you pick up the ticket and they bring the thing out. But it had shelves and it had product on the shelves. But this is a service merchandise toy clearance circular. Buy now and save on great toy bargains for Christmas. So we've got some Joe items on here. I'm going to guess. Okay, so what is the boxed item? I can't tell what it is. Can you guys tell?
Hang on.
Let me see.
Talk about the other ones, and I'll pull
so
that
we've got the MMS, which is $7.95. We've got the HAL, which is also $7.95, which I'll be honest, seems a little pricey to me. Do you guys remember, was service merchandise a little more expensive?
Yeah, they were a little bit more high end because they sold like high end electronics and jewelry. Those were like their big things.
Oh, interesting. So their toys might have been a little more expensive. See, I
They
don't
were,
remember that, but I don't know.
but when they clearanced, it was always good deals. Because most of the toys that I bought with my own money that were bigger ticket items all came from service merchandise. So underneath the HAL is the G.I. Joe Viewmaster gift set for
Ooh.
$3.95.
Oh, I love that.
And
That's
right underneath that,
We're not going to talk about that because that was the signal to change the channel. Go ahead.
I did not. I mean, I knew there were MASH action figures. I did not know that there was a MASH military base.
Which I'll be honest, so were they
I gotta
3
look
and 3
that up.
They were 3 3/4. They
So
were
this
made by
would have been-
Mego.
I
So
need to
the-
find that.
Right.
I loathe.
I'm assuming that this was for the 3 3/4 figures.
Well, so let's do a little Googling here. And
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
oh, are you looking for it?
Yeah. Okay, I do remember this. I think a friend of mine had it. It's all
Is it Army Men size? That was
yeah,
my
it's not 3 3/4.
okay.
So it's like little green Army Men type figure. Well, this what I found doesn't even have figures. But yeah, looking at it, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Man, if that was 3 3/4 inch, like that A-Team playset
Right.
that they put out, that would have been awesome to have. Imagine Doc just running this place. Woo, exciting. Okay, so yeah, we've got a MASH military set. I mean, which still would have been fun to have. I when I was a kid, I absolutely loathed MASH. Like the MASH theme song just drove a stake through my heart when it started playing because usually my memory of it is it came on Saturday morning after the cartoons were done. So it meant the end of the cartoons. It meant the end. MASH signaled the end of fun for me.
Most war does.
Well, that's true.
Well, now I'm looking at
except for G.I.
another.
Joe.
I'm
Oh, is there
looking
a
at this
different one?
other in the package MASH military base. It says 16 square foot printed vinyl play service, which is 4 feet by 4 feet, 60
Whoa.
play pieces, and that looks like those are 3 3/4 inch figures.
Ooh.
Yes, designed to scale for all 3 3/4 inch action figures in the vehicles they fit.
Wow.
I need this.
Noel
Right?
has a new grail.
Oh my goodness!
As I
Look.
said, that's what we do. We make people spend money.
Look,
Hasbro.
this past weekend, I got offered a USS Flag that is missing only 5 parts for $500, and I said I have nowhere to put it.
Noel, that's the point where you pick your little phone up and you send Dave a message who is looking for a USS Flag.
I guess I could have.
Yeah, you could have.
I didn't. Well, I know you were looking for. I thought you were looking for a complete one. This one would have cost another $500 to complete at the bare minimum, because the parts were the ones that the ones that go missing most frequently.
Right.
But I would be happy without them just to have the thing displayed.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting to because prices for complete and certainly prices for mint in box are only going up. So as I work towards goals, like it's just getting more and more out of reach.
Well, Hasbro, because we know Lenny does listen, next year for PulseCon, can we please get a Suicide is Painless variant Doc?
Oh my gosh.
That's the theme song to MASH.
The worst thing ever. Awful. All right, moving on. Top right of this page, we have an AT-AT for $39.95, which again
That also
does
seems
not,
very expensive.
right. Doesn't seem clearancey to me.
Well, and also, what year was this? Because this would have been 80.
It does.
I think we
Yeah.
decided this was 83, 84.
Yeah,
It
because
says
there was a
regular price is $44.84.
yeah.
So
So
it's
not
on sale. It's not really clearance.
Let me hide the banner and see if maybe there's a year at the bottom. Oh, I can't read that.
One thing we didn't comment on was on that the previous one that was clearly 85 that there was still Star Wars stuff, and I
Oh.
forgot that
This-
mainline Star Wars stuff was still available
Yeah.
that long after the movie.
Oh, look. Zooming in.
It
Wait.
says
Zooming in.
1983.
This is 83. Yeah.
Mhm.
Copyright Service Merchandise Company, 1983.
Yeah, that makes sense because they're clearancing 82, 83 vehicles there.
So real quick, we got a couple of Smurf items here. The which I have no recollection of the Smurf Magic Talk Smurf Village.
Nope.
I don't
Can't even
remember
say
that
I've
at
ever
all.
seen it in my
And then
Smurf hunting.
at the top of the next column from Coleco, the Coleco Smurf Piggyback Rider, which the less said about it, the better. If you would like to Google that, you can take it upon yourself to do so. That is the Coleco Smurf Piggyback Rider. We are not going to discuss it further here. We are
But
instead.
it's very affordable. It's $7.99
Yeah, that's right.
or $7.95.
We're going to move on to our next circular. I think we're only going to do a couple more of these, so we'll save these for next Thanksgiving season. Next up from, is that TG?
TG&Y.
What is that? I'm not familiar with this at all.
That's the only reason why I pulled this, because
Okay.
where I grew up, from first grade, well, birth to fifth grade, we lived on a hill. TG&Y is also where I got my first GI Joes, because if you walked outside of our backyard and looked down the hill, the roof of TG&Y was right there.
Oh,
So
that would
as
be so
kids,
awesome.
It was just, it was a Kmart. It was a
Okay,
Walmart
okay.
of its time. But when I was in junior high, they went belly up, and when they were having their going out of business sales, they were finding boxes of stuff that was, like many, many, many years old. But this just proves it did exist. So you have the Wolverine, the Hiss Tank, and the Vamp. Your choice. Only $6.97.
I need a time machine.
And this one is 1983. And yeah, those prices seem pretty in line to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like those sound right.
You can get the Whirlwind, the Ram, and the Polar Cat.
Polar Battle Bear.
Bear, sorry, for $3.97.
Again, that seems right.
Yep, and those didn't have figures either, so those were a little bit cheaper in general.
Oh, this is really cool. Jeff Butler says, I still have a TG&Y toy truck, a red semi with a long white trailer and red writing. Like, that's kind of cooler than any of this because it's specific to that store. Like,
yeah,
not everybody has a Whirlwind or a Hiss or whatever, but not everybody has a TG&Y toy truck. So next time you're walking through Target and you see one of those Matchbox size Target trucks, you just remember what's more special, that or the newest Joe Classified figure. You think about that. What else is on? Oh, okay. So I never had a glowworm when I was a kid, and I wanted a glowworm.
I was not into glowworms. I can't remember if my sister had one or not.
So my younger brother was born, I think, in 82. So the year that Glowworm came out for Christmas, he got one, and I think I was more fascinated with that because of it lighting up. until we started opening presents and I saw all the stuff that was mine. But I distinctly remember, because of course you get up before your parents and just sitting there underneath the tree, just squeezing and releasing this glowworm.
So right under the medium-sized Joe vehicles, I didn't even realize it because the picture's so blurry, but G.I. Joe figures, $1.99 a piece. And in that image, Destro, Doc, and Snow Job, and then some bizarrely like pixelared other carded figures laying below them.
One is tripwire at least.
Yeah. But $1.99 each, normal price $2.99 each. Collect all 20 figures, each with the two-handed battle grip. Select from Cobra and G.I. Joe soldiers. And you know what? I've got to now that I figured out I can zoom in on my own device here. I've got to go back up to the medium vehicles. Hasbro G.I. Joe vehicles with figure. Help them collect all of G.I. Joe's and Cobra's attack vehicles, and they'll stage their own battles. Each versatile vehicle comes with a different action figure.
So that actually just sparked something, because I don't remember how the other flyers describe them, but one of the other things that caught my eye while hunting for ads is how many times the vehicles were not called vehicles, but they were called accessories. So you could get the self-propelled cannon accessory,
right,
which of course is how the toy companies looked at it back then. But so it's wild to see one that actually is calling them vehicles.
And then finally, last thing on this page I wanted to look at and this hit me because I had not thought about these in years. Popoids.
Yeah,
I had some of these sets when I was a kid and had completely forgotten about them. This is the Tomy Popoids Cosmic Core set. The kids will love creating their own crazy cosmic cars that make funny, happy popping sounds. So what these are, they're building sets, but you build with plastic pieces with holes in them, like spheres and cubes and wheels and whatever else, and the connective pieces are like accordion tubes, like plastic accordion tubes, like a drinking straw, like the bendable drinking straws, but just giant plastic, just the bendable part. And they were really fun and like to mess around with. I don't think I ever was very happy with any of the stuff that you could build because it was just kind of dumb.
You just got it so you could make the noise. Like,
right, that was it.
Again, because of my younger brother, we had a bunch of these. And a couple of years ago, I was reminded of them. And I actually did jump on eBay and was surprised to see that, like, what I call, the intelligent toy stores, the ones that sell like wooden toys and robotics. Apparently, these were still being made well into the 90s and early 2000s. So you can get boxfuls of them on eBay for cheap.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of toy that the disappointing toy stores would carry forever. That's always been my, like, when you're in a different town and you're just trying to find the toy store and you're like, ooh, it's mixed toys, cool. And then you get there and it's all like Ravenscraft board games and Tinker Toys, or not Tinker Toys. What are the wooden
Lincoln Logs?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then like,
and then occasionally they'll have like, there was one when I was in Pittsburgh last year that it was like that in the bottom floor, and I went upstairs, and the upstairs was all Playmobil and Lego, and it was like, I mean, they had a huge collection of Lego, so I was like, all right, well, that's pretty good. But it was also, of course, you're paying those premium prices at those places too.
Yeah. The snobby, disappointing toy stores. All right. I think we got one more of these, and then we got to wrap things up. Let's see what the next one is. I'm not even sure. Oh, okay. This is
Ooh.
great. Burns of Laureldale, Best Buys in Burks at Burns, fabulous toy department.
Best Buy's in Berks. So I'm guessing Berks is like a county? I don't know. What is
Yeah.
Berks?
Yeah, right. What is Laureldale and what is
Yeah.
Berks?
What are
I
these
figured-
made up places?
Nonsense. All right, but the top of the page. Oh, this is from. Hang on, let me find this. Oh, where is this one? For some reason, these are out of order. Here we go. There's not a year on this one that I can see, but it's Burns of Laureldale is at 1505 Elizabeth Avenue. Their phone number is 921-0229. So this is obviously early 80s because it's pre-area codes.
Well, this is at least 88 because it's Tiger Force.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I'm guessing this is probably, and there's also Halloween stuff on this. So this probably came out in like October of 88.
Yeah,
and
that sounds right.
They were doing layaway now for Christmas because, wanted to make sure everybody could pay that whole $15.86 for that Tiger Rat over the course of the next 60 days.
You know what? And I got to tell you, we're not ending on this one. This is
Wait, but
this is a dud.
no, it's not. Hold
Come on.
No,
All right.
I applaud the level of laziness in an ad when you start out tiger fly, tiger rat, shark, cat, figure. Like you're not even you just don't even care anymore. But
I get for shark because you couldn't put the tiger in there and still keep it lined up, but like cat, you only have 3 letters. Come on.
But come on. The entire reasoning for this ad existing is right there in the center. The Hasbro get in shape, girl.
Well, and what's funny is they have the tiger paw pictured, but they don't
it's
have
not
it listed.
mentioned.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What draws my eye the most after G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe is always going to be the first thing that I see, but the Fisher-Price Magic Vac that for some reason has Edvard Munch's The Scream vacuuming.
That's what I'm saying. Like I genuinely forgot until looking at a lot of these early 80s ads. Just
why does it look
they
like
have
that?
expectations for girls back then.
Is it The Scream or is it Jeff Goldblum as the Fly? What is
He's
that
got mandibles.
face?
What is going on with that?
And
it's done in the style of like an early Warhol line drawing too. It's very bizarre.
We're gonna share this on our socials, Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. So if you are just listening, check out Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and we'll have a post of this insanity. That's grotesque.
Of course,
all right,
get in shape, girl.
Exactly.
Get in shape, girl.
Get in
Workout
shape,
bar,
girl.
twist, and workout bar with BARRE. Twist and twirl, bangle bop, workout plus, pump and run. I know pump and run is my favorite move. Let's move on, shall we? Oh, this one's not very good either. Hang on. We got to end on a good one here. That one had too many words on it.
This one looks like the Old West.
This is from the 70s.
Yeah, this one's old.
This is.
Noel, you're right. This is from like Pappy's General Store. All right, we'll end on this one just because we do like to revisit the entire history of G.I. Joe and not just the 80s. So, Kristian, tell us why you chose this one.
Yep. So the reason for this one is when Dave messaged me earlier and was like, hey, can you find some full page ads so we can see the other toys that were on them? I was like, oh, I know just the one. So all G.I. Joe toys, 25% off. So what is pictured is the Adventure Team helicopter and the Intruder, which is the greatest G.I. Joe toy ever made.
I think we can all agree on that.
Prices slashed on all dolls, outfits, and adventure series. They have no prices listed, but right below it, you have the $6 million man bionic transport and repair system. And there is, I think, no amount of hyperbole to say that when the Bionic Man toys came out in the late 70s, it was a game changer. Like, it pretty much killed every other male-centric toy line that was out there.
Well, I mean,
including G.I. Joe.
If you go to Toylanta or Joelanta, every year there is an entire vendor who just does $6 Million Man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I gotta say, this $6 Million Man bionic transport and repair system does sound very compelling. It includes an operating computer, a diagnostic system. Oh wait, that's all one thing. Operating computer diagnostic system, bionic control panel cables, safe X-ray unit, as opposed to the kids may not remember this, but back in the 70s, there were dangerous X-ray units. This comes with a safe X-ray unit, and real 2-power microscope for $8.95, which in modern money would be $230.
Well, I mean, that's at least what you're paying if you want to buy this at a convention, and you're probably not getting all the parts and pieces with it either.
No, and they're certainly not going to be fresh out of the box, bright, colorful, clean.
Yeah, but without the Bionic Man toy, we would not have received Atomic Mike in the G.I. Joe line.
Okay, here we go. I've got it. We're getting there.
Oh,
last visual aid, and I was wondering why, because I was like, this is not a circular. Did Kristian not understand the assignment?
I pulled this because you know how in Sunbow we like to joke that all you need to become a member of G.I. Joe is like just say hi to the G.I. Joe team, unless you're Honda. This ad cracks me up because it is a sort of takeoff of the opening of the Bionic Man. But basically you have Adventure Joe. Atomic Mike comes in. He's like, I want to be a part of the Adventure team. And Adventure Joe's like, I don't know. We're super selective and picky. You got to be pretty awesome to be a part of this team.
And then he whips his clothes off and is like, look at my limbs.
Right. So he's like, look, I can run 200 miles per hour. I can lift 10,000 pounds. My atomic eye can see through steel. And Adventure Joe is like, welcome to the Adventure team, Major Mike Power. so not even just he Adventure Team won up Sunbow. Not just you get to be a part of the team, but I'm going ahead and giving you the rank of Major.
I mean, to be fair, though, this guy has a bionic leg, a bionic arm, a bionic eye. He's not just some civilian who looks good in a hat.
True.
Major Mike Power, G.I. Joe Talking Commander, and other G.I. Joe Adventure Team members available at your local toy store. So I think that has got to wrap up our look back at past sales circulars, the exciting times of opening up the newspaper or whatever and checking out those print ads and seeing what kind of deals you can get and what you can bug your parents about. And I want to bring up the perfect layout now because Noel has spent the last half hour carefully arranging something for us. So hopefully No, I did not successfully do that. Why?
That's all right. You can
There we go.
transition.
Okay. There it is.
Yay.
Look at that. What are we looking at here, Noel?
So we are looking at, from that very first flyer, we had a nice array of Super Go bots. I just happen to be within arm's reach of where I sit here. So I got my stacks, my Psycho, my Leader 1, and my Psy-Kill. So, yeah, I just figured they wanted to join in since their ears were ringing as we talked about them. So, yeah, just
beautiful.
Yeah, recreating our images from before.
All right. Well, we've gone a little long, and we're going to go even longer because it is time now for everyone's favorite segment where we go to you, the Audible Army, to tell us what you want us to talk about in this segment that we like to call Sound Off. That's right. If you're following Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram, every time we're doing a live stream early in the morning, we'll put up a post that says Sound Off, and we will ask for your input as to what we're going to talk about on the show. First up, Yorktown Joe. We asked for you to share the best deals you've gotten on G.I. Joe. Yorktown Joe says most memorable deal was getting the Cobra Mountain playset for our oldest son when he was 3 or 4 on clearance from KB Online for $9.99. They didn't charge shipping. No wonder they went out of business. Now, if you don't know, the Cobra Mountain playset came out in, was it 2004 or 5?
It was early.
But it was a redo of the Attack of the Clones Geonosis playset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty cool playset, and it's not a bad repurposing. It works exactly as well as the Robin Hood's Village redo. Also from Yorktown Joe, during the end of the DTC era, which if you don't know, that is the direct-to-consumer era, I got the following from Hasbro Direct. The Rock for $9.99, the Rhino for $9.99, Night Ops Hummer for $6.99, Hiss with the spring-loaded rockets for $6.99, some individual carded figures for $2.99 each. I think this was around 2006 or so. That is crazy.
Wow.
Because that Rhino that's the one I've got, and it's a redo of the Warthog.
And I have never gotten a Night Ops Hummer that cheap.
Moving on. Tom.Henry, you can guess where this is going to end up. But before we get there, I got a Real American Hero Hiss for $5 at the local antique fair. I don't really collect the Real American Hero line unless it's a good deal. I'm more active in the classified line. Still no fangs in my house, unfortunately. Side note, I'd really like to hear you all discuss the NECA shipping issue. Oh, Tom.Henry, I am so glad you opened that door because I really didn't have a venue because it's going to be a little while before we do a modern toy discussion on Needless Things. And this won't be news by then. So I'm glad you brought this up. For those that don't know, NECA accidentally shipped 2 of a recent Ninja Turtles playset to people who had only bought 1. And they released this official communique afterwards. This is from the NECA studio. We messed up. We would like to sincerely apologize for the shipping delays and confusion with the TMNT First Turtles 2-pack. Due to an unexpected technical glitch in our shipping system, some orders were delayed and assigned. Oh, wait a minute. This is not the right. Darn it. This is a different screw up on NECA's part. So anyway, I'll put this one away. This is a whole other thing that we'll have to address.
It does look exactly like
it looks like the same thing.
One
and
for the sewer playset.
Right, I saved it off of my phone. Hang on, let me look real quick and see if I can find the release for that one. That's unfortunate. What are they, Ramen Toys, having to release apologies for every single item they release? Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Well, while he's looking that up,
yes,
Henry, my 2 cents on this is it is an unfortunate mistake. And usually when it comes to capitalism, I feel like, hey, we as the consumer get screwed plenty. So there you go. However, as toy collectors, I don't ever like the thought of taking something, preventing someone else from being able to get something. It's why I don't like toy weasels. It's why I don't, if I go to a store, if I see 3 or 4 of the same figure, it's like I buy my one because I want someone to get it. So I would hate to think that a genuine mistake was made and I'm like, I'm just going to hold on to this because apparently they did not make extras. And they put out a second statement. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I can't find the announcement for this one, but they shipped 2 of one of the turtle play sets to customers who had only ordered one. And they're going to send you a label so that you can return the extra one. And yeah, my thoughts on this, it's a mess up. Mistakes happen. I think anybody who keeps that second play set is a jerk.
So it's not just that they send you a shipping label. They are also giving you a $100 credit for future turtle releases.
Oh, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they are, to me, they are like, hey, we really want to make this up to you because you thought you were going to get 2. Now, today I saw, and this kind of goes into Wreck Ship's comment, they did put out a second statement letting people know that they are giving you a month to return the item. And if you don't, then you will be blacklisted and you will be unable to purchase from NECA directly.
I have no problem with that.
From here until the end of time. I don't either,
zero problem with that. I think if you're going to play the a-hole game, then you get treated like an a-hole.
I think that second one will make some people take it more seriously. Because I don't know. I like to be hopeful for the world. And I like to think that I know.
Really?
Believe it or not, it doesn't ever meet my expectations. But I would like to think that as soon as they said, we're going to give you $100 credit to be able to use later on.
Yeah.
That would be like, yep, box it back up. We're sending it.
Here's what's going to happen is the jerks who want to keep it the second one and think for some reason they deserve to be able to keep it are going to post online, done with NECA, not buying any more Ninja Turtles. I quit this line. And then they're going to buy Ninja Turtles anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's what we have to say about that. Moving on. Hillbilly Harper, I just got a complete slugger with a complete thunder for a great deal. Awesome. Underappreciated vehicle that we've talked about on the show quite a few times. Silent Interlude, probably the best single deal I ever got was 2001 or so. I found a Starduster at a little shop for $8. Then the guy brought out like a penny candy paper bag full of accessories that he wanted 10 cents each for. So I bought all of them and got the Starduster helmet and gun. I've had a few people give me things for free and a lot of stuff that I bought long enough ago that the prices I paid for it look ridiculously good now, but that's probably the best deal I've ever scored. That is a crazy deal.
Yeah.
Third Wave Sabotage. I scored a sneak peek with all accessories, including the mic, for $18. That is also a great deal because that mic, well, any of the Joe mics are wild to have.
And there was actually, I didn't send it to you, but there was a circular ad that had sneak peek front and center. And
That's
then
amazing.
like a G1 Destro behind him, and I'm like, that's okay.
What a combo.
Me as a parent deciding to go buy the newest G.I. Joes, like, I need this Periscope guy.
I loved Sneak
did.
Peek when I was a kid, man. I thought he was cool. Sneezy the Squid, Gary Mitchell back on track, finding the post the day it comes out. Good for you, Gary. At Joe Lanta, I snagged a Trouble Bubble for $30. Do you think that Destro does a Black Friday sale? What's the markdown on a used bat? Yeah, I would, being one of the premier capitalists in G.I. Joe mythology, I think Destro probably participates in Black Friday. But I would say he's probably one of those people that does like 8% off.
Or he does the thing where he gradually marks things up for the 3 months going up to Black Friday, and then he marks them down to the actual retail price.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. You're
Yep.
totally right. That is the Destro move. You are correct. And with that, perfect for this edition, because those sound offs were just sharing stuff. They didn't require a whole lot out of us, which is good because we're out of time. We have gone longer than I intended to go. I wanted to watch Raw tonight because I got to see what CM Punk is going to say. But we do have one more segment here. We are going to do a very special. Normally, we would be doing Joe and Tell. But since we are talking about deals, we are actually going to do a very special Knowing is Half the Babble. That is where each of us get a little bit of time to talk about whatever we want. But in this instance, whatever we want is going to be the best deals we have gotten on Joe stuff, or, maybe some of the best deals. I'm going to go first on this one because this is something that's kind of near and dear to me. So I've talked a lot about how around 87, like the last Real American Hero figures I bought were in 88. And that was just Storm Shadow and Hit and Run. 87 was really my last year. And then it wasn't until I got out of high school that I got back into Joe, and the first purchases I made were getting on eBay. My first eBay purchases, as a matter of fact, were the 12-inch Hall of Fame figures. And at the time, and here is one of them, I just, for whatever reason, thought these were really cool at the time, and they were dirt cheap. I was using my friend, or our mutual acquaintance, Ryan, our Needless Things head of research, Ryan Schweck. I was using his eBay account and buying these mint in box Hall of Fame G.I. Joes for like $15 shipped at the time. I think I got some for 10, but this Cobra Commander, it bothered me that he didn't have gloves. But other than that, this is just a cool big figure. It's fun to have. To this day, these Hall of Fame figures are not expensive. And I don't know. They're just, like I said, they kind of got me back into Joe, even though I was really confused by what some of the characters looked like because I wasn't familiar with these later looks for like Snake Eyes and Stalker or even Duke. So I was like, I don't know why they look like this, but I'm buying G.I. Joes again, and I think it's fun. So, I wonder if, hang on, let me see if this noise still works. Oh my gosh, it kind of does. Wait. Can you guys hear that at all?
Yeah. Should have brought that out for our ASMR episode.
I should have. I didn't even think about it. So anyway, those were great to me. Were great deals at the time because it was a relatively deep collection that was easy to obtain. And like I said, even today, you can still get those figures that are pretty cool for reasonable prices. All right, who wants to go next?
I want to point out Jeff Butler's comment because yes, that was so painful before we had the ability to just send stuff through PayPal. That you had to go get a money order to pay for things on eBay.
I had completely forgotten about that. That's wild.
If they didn't take check, I did not buy from them because I did not want to go through that hassle.
Well, it was against eBay policy to accept personal checks at one point, just
Really?
because so many people had gotten ripped off from them. So
Oh, see,
like money orders became the only way to purchase things until like electronic payments became viable.
Totally forgot that.
my
And then
Can
a lot
you
of people did not
imagine-
accept PayPal for a long time. You still had to send money orders to some people.
Can
for
you
a few
imagine
years.
in 2024, like going to the effort of driving to a gas station to get a money order to buy a thing off of eBay?
Yeah, because I was getting money orders for like $8 just so I could buy
Yeah.
that like broken hound figure that I found on eBay for sniping at the last minute.
eBay prices were dirt cheap back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they really were. That $15 shipped for that. That is
Mhm.
great. All right, Noel, you're up next.
I'm up next. So yeah, and I was trying to think of what like the best deal I'd gotten like as an official sale at like a store or something like that. I mean, there's nothing that really stands out. I can tell you that my biggest and best deal I ever got.
Real quick. The best deal Noel has ever gotten is every time he has bought something that I bought after I bought it. That's the best deals Noel ever gets.
Well, this is not really one of those things. So back in 2012, I was not collecting Joe at the time, but if I still admired it. I didn't have stuff up on my shelf. I still had all my childhood Joes, but I wasn't collecting any of the stuff that was out at the time. I went to what was called a Geek Garage sale here around Atlanta. Now they do one every year, and it's in like a little bit more organized space. But this was like in like a warehouse in the west end of Atlanta. If you don't know
I
where
remember.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a grungy place, but like people were there. They were set up with these tables. They had a bunch of their stuff.
Wasn't that when Riddle, the cosplayer, was running them?
Might have been. I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
But like they were great. You'd find so many cool things at these shows.
Yeah.
And there was one guy who had a box. It was a big moving box, just full of GI Joe stuff. And he had like $100 on it. And throughout the day, he'd been marking it down. And I was there towards the tail end of this sale, and he had just knocked this thing down to $10. And he was basically begging people to take it. And I was like, he had to talk me into taking it because I was like, I don't have room for GI Joe in my house right now. And I did, and I brought it home, and I, set it aside. And like I went through it later, and it had all sorts of amazing things in it. It had several vehicles. Most of them were at least mostly complete, but like the Starduster I have came from that box. Yeah, like a lot of figures that were, besides that one, nothing that's like really, really expensive on the aftermarket now. But I mean, it was probably stuff that if I were to buy it now would have been like $600-700 worth of stuff in that box alone. And that's if I were buying it bulk. If it were being priced out individually, it'd probably be a lot more than that. So that is definitely the one that I remember, and it was something that I was really grateful for later on, because when I did get back into collecting GI Joe and displaying it again, like I had a nice bit of like extra accessories and parts to fill in some of the ones from like my childhood vehicles. So some of the parts I was missing from some of those vehicles, I was able to complete them off of these parts that I got in this big box. So yeah, definitely the best one I've gotten on the aftermarket anywhere.
Well, and that realistically, the best deal I ever got was when Wilson gave me that whole collection, but I didn't pay anything for that. So that
right. Same thing. My friend Doug shipped me his childhood collection a few years back, right when we first started this podcast, I think.
Yeah. All right, Kristian, best deal you can remember.
Yeah, so I don't have best deal would be shortly after we started the podcast, I believe maybe a year or two into it. I got a complete vamp minus clutch for $9, shipping included, on eBay.
Nice.
I think that I am surprised I did not get sniped out at the end. I think the person running the auction was surprised.
Yeah.
It was just one of those flukes. But also, because he's been mentioned a few times tonight. I also think that at this past Joe Fest, the complete scoops with his microphone that I got for $12 is a pretty decent deal.
Yeah, I mean, I got a scoop shortly after I got that collection from Wilson because he was kind of the main character of Operation Dragonfire. Like, and it's a good figure.
Yeah, as long as you ignore everything about Operation Dragonfire.
Which is generally pretty good to do anyway. Or you can just listen to our review. Don't ignore that. Listen to our epic 5-part review of Operation Dragonfire, available now wherever you get your podcasts. And once again, we are out of time. This has been another fantastic time talking about G.I. Joe. Before we go, Kristian, where can we find that toy photography that you do so well?
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky under the name Legion Cub.
Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club. We actually just had our table up this past weekend at Retro Toy Fest, Retro Toy Con, where we raised over $200 on Saturday for Canines for Warriors, our charity partner. And then, if you ever thought about dressing up like your favorite Joe characters, we tried to recruit some folks while we were up there this past weekend, getting them interested in, dressing up like their own favorite Joes. You can check out thefinestcc.com or the Finest Recruitment Center on Facebook as a great resource for asking questions from some of our seasoned veteran members.
Our music is by Andy Semford of electricminnowmusic.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast, and we will be live right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel December the 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us. And until then, yo, Joe.
Cobra. La 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 la. Riding cycle.